Hey guys, this is Tim Wright. Welcome back to the Sunbelt Developers Series. I'm joined today by Mark Toro. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be really exciting. If you don't know who Mark is is kind of a legend here in Atlanta. He revived Atlantic Station. He was really a pivotal figure in Colony Square's reimagining. Avalon, if you're up in Alpharetta, very familiar with that. And then what's coming next is Medley, which we're going to really dive into. I'm really excited about it. So,
sure.
Mark, I guess maybe we can just jump in.
Hey guys, I just want to take a second and thank our sponsors for today. Our main sponsor is SHR, or Songy Highroads. David Songy was one of our guests a couple months ago and really brought an incredible story about his career. Songy Highroads is a commercial real estate development company that has done almost $3 billion in developments. A couple projects that you might know here in Atlanta is the Hyatt Centric right behind Lenox Mall. There's also the Howell, which is a brand new apartment complex. And the most exciting project that they're working on is the expansion to the Savannah Convention Center. We're really excited to go down there probably early next year to show you guys what's going on, but they've broken ground. It's almost a $400 million project. It's been in the works for almost 10 years and very excited. So if you have any development opportunities or you want to learn more about them, please visit songyhighroads.com. Again, that's songyhighroads.com. Now back to the show.
I was looking at your bio, your LinkedIn, way back. You even started at Beck. Like maybe we go back. Did you grow up here in Georgia or Atlanta? Like, what's the backdrop?
Yeah, I grew up in New Jersey. Went to Rutgers University. Came to Atlanta in 1981. In fact, it's interesting. I've got a position that I'm seeking to fill at my company, and I've been sort of casting about, thinking about headhunters. Who do I work with to place this individual? And the name that keeps coming up to me is Bill Morgan. Have you ever heard that name? Very under the radar guy, really capable placement, recruiter. He placed me in my first job in 1981.
Wow.
We were reminiscing about that story and that job and where it took me and what it meant to my career. But I started in the construction business. My degree's in civil engineering from Rutgers, and really didn't know a lot about real estate. I didn't quite understand what it meant. I thought I was going to be a builder. I was going to own a construction company and make a lot of money building buildings. Really didn't quite understand the aspect of real estate, ownership, operations, development. And one day, sitting across the table, I was a project manager on a little office park in Century Center on Claremont Road.
Yeah.
And sitting across the table from a guy named Bob Nelson, who was the owner's rep for the developer. And he had shiny shoes and drove a black car and was always clean. And I'm like, I'm tromping around in the mud all day and get my ass kicked by subcontractors and the weather. And I'm like, what do you do? And he described his career path. And I thought, that would be an interesting thing. Could tell me how to do that. He said, First thing you need to do is go to work for an A player in this business, a blue chip general contractor who's going to teach you how to do it right. I was working with a smaller contractor, and he kind of brokered a deal for me to go to work for Beck. So it was called HCB Contractors at the time. In fact, it was the open shop arm called Pace Construction. Built a number of things, including the hotel on Windy Hill, which is now the Hyatt, North Parktown Center, first building, 100. And during the construction of that project, I was contacted by a headhunter who was not Bill Morgan, who said, hey, have you ever considered getting in the real estate business? We've got a retail developer out of Cleveland, got an Atlanta office, wants to get into the Southeast, and they need a construction guy, a quote, construction guy.
Yeah.
Somebody to do entitlements, zoning, design, development, manage the general contractor. And so launched into that aspect of the business. And it wasn't until the early that was 84 or 5. It wasn't until the early 90s when I joined Cousins, prior to that New Market Development Company, which was the precursor to Cousins' retail component. It was called Cousins New Market Development Company.
Wow.
And we built power centers all over the suburbs. So that career took me all over the Southeast and Southwest, actually out to Texas. And in '96, I was recruited to come join Tom Williams, who's the founder, the principal of the Williams family office, which is called North American Properties, and launched the Atlanta region, I'll call it, the Atlanta franchise division of North American Properties. And
how did y'all get in touch?
A headhunter from Fort Worth.
These headhunters.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
It's always getting the phone call. It's interesting. I told somebody the other day, I've never been unemployed, and I've never looked for a job. Maybe that means I'm doing things right. I don't know. I don't mean to be boastful, but that's been the case.
That's great.
Happenstance.
Yeah.
So the headhunter from Fort Worth called me, and he said something to me that I didn't quite understand at the time. He said, this is an opportunity for you to build an estate. I thought, that sounds like means make money. And it was attractive, and it turned out to be a great opportunity. Tom and I spent 25 years together. We're still very close. Spun off the development company from North American Properties into Toro Development Company. So that team that developed Avalon, repositioned Atlantic Station, redeveloped Colony Square, and built 7 or 8 multifamily communities on the Beltline and elsewhere in Nashville. That company is now Toro Development Company.
Got it. Same team, New Jersey.
Exactly.
And very cool. Very cool.
Hey guys, I just want to take a second and thank our sponsors for today's episode. This episode is brought to you by Corporate Environments, Georgia's leading full-service commercial furniture and workplace solutions partner. Whether you're building out Class A offices, retrofitting co-working space, or planning large-scale tenant improvements, Corporate Environments brings deep expertise in future design and specification, architectural solutions, project management, delivery and installation, and more. They're known for delivering turnkey solutions that help your properties stand out and your client's space work better. Plus, as a certified minority-owned business, they bring a fresh, diversity-driven perspective to every project, something that resonates in today's market. To elevate your next interior build-out or FF&E plan, reach out to Corporate Environments. They have a location here in Atlanta and Savannah, and you can learn more at corporateenvironments.com. Let their team turn your vision into impactful spaces.
Well, I guess like going back into kind of the early days, like was there any projects that really stood out to you as, I don't know, kind of pivotal and you learning the career, or some that you look back on early in your career as, I don't know, important, or maybe even like early projects at North American?
Yeah, probably the most, the bright line moment at North American would have been in 2002 or 3 called Camp Creek Marketplace at the northwest quadrant of 285 and Camp Creek Parkway. At the time, it was a retail desert. It was, and is to this day, a community that is 95% African American, had essentially been forgotten by the Atlanta commercial real estate community, and really sort of written off. And a broker by the name of Ernie Williams took me down there and said, "Hey, have you ever? You want to consider this deal?" I said, Ernie, I don't know a lot about that neighborhood. We've been working all over the north side and building shopping centers all over Gwinnett, Cobb, Fulton County. And I said, I've never turned right on Camp Creek Parkway because I lived in Cobb County at the time, would take 285 to the airport, turn left, go to the Hartsfield, and take off. And it was eye-opening. It was spectacular. In fact, we can probably go to it.
Oh, there. Yeah.
So everything you see that's developed there was undeveloped. That was
this is
only
huge. Yeah.
Is the only undeveloped interchange on 285 at the time.
Wow. And they've really upgraded the facade over here.
Yeah, it's now a diverging diamond interchange and all that. But it was really just an industrial community. So all that residential you see northwest wasn't there. None of the multifamily was there. None of the retail, none of the office, the hotels, none of it. And Ernie said, it originally started at 60 acres, ended up more than 240. We brought in a developer by the name of Medley to do the single-family residential, and then a number of hotel developers and others. But we did all the retail. It was a 650,000 square foot power center in a community that had zero retail. And it was all because the the real estate industry had written it off as not of value, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, we went down there and said, this is not a black thing or a white thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is a green thing. It's about money.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're looking for, specifically in the days of building power center, and even today with retail development, it's about density and income. So you give me enough rooftops, and give me some with adequate average household income, and we'll do the business in order to lease the space to retailers. To this day, that was 20-something years ago.
Yeah.
To this day, that's one of the most successful projects we ever did. In fact, at North American, it might have been on a multiple on invested capital basis. It might have been the most successful deal we ever did. The second most successful was Atlantic Station.
Wow. Yeah.
Interestingly, both were written off. I had a mentor who I won't name in the business early on in my career. And I was at a Midtown Alliance board meeting. And I said to him, what do you think? What do you think I should do with Atlantic Station? At the time, I didn't have it under contract. It was just, what would you do with Atlantic Station?
Yeah.
He said,
What? Oh, sorry. Keep going. I was going to ask what year this was.
so this was 2010.
Okay.
So immediately post GFC,
Yeah.
for the most from 2008, 8, 9, and 10. So my company at North American, we were about 50 people.
Yeah.
We collapsed it down to 4, went to 4 days a week, spent a lot of
Wow.
time asleep on the couch,
Sure.
had nothing to do, never thought I'd ever do another deal again.
Yeah.
And Atlantic Station hit the market. I was living on 14th Street in the Four Seasons building at the time, literally could see it out my window.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time out there just walking around because I had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And we had the opportunity to acquire it.
Wow.
So unbeknownst to this gentleman that I was speaking with, I was pursuing it heavily.
Yeah.
And I said, what would you do with Atlantic Station? He said, burn it.
Oh my God.
And I thought, wow.
Very strong opinion.
Those are strong opinions.
Yeah.
And similarly,
Yeah.
another, I'll call him a peer, back to Camp Creek Marketplace.
Yeah.
I was at Florida ICSC, and in Orlando, it would have been 2003 maybe. And this peer of mine and I were standing in the hallway at the convention. And he said, "You are going to lose your ass on Camp Creek Parkway."
No way.
I said, "Really?" He said, "There is no money down there." I said, "Have you been there lately?" I mean, it is a very large, very dense, very affluent African American community. And because these people are black, the Atlanta commercial real estate industry wrote them off. Similarly with Atlantic Station, the Atlantic Station was patronized by a lot of people who didn't necessarily live in Midtown proper, call it Midtown East. So Ansley Park wasn't frequenting Atlantic Station.
Yeah.
So bought it, used it as an incubator to devise what we now call our secret sauce. So all of the soft skills, the valet and concierge and music and lighting and social media and PR and activations and events and community engagement, all those things that are more service and hospitality than real estate, we learned and incubated using Atlantic Station as our lab. We didn't lay a single brick. We bought it for $26 million, we bought it for $74 million, put $26 million in it, sold it for $200. So it was a good day.
That's a good flip.
That's
great.
Multiple on invested capital, close second to Camp Creek Marketplace.
Wow.
And then third, went to Avalon. So I lived in Midtown at the time that we repositioned Atlantic Station and redeveloped Colony Square. So we bought Atlantic Station, in 2010, New Year's Eve, 2010. 2000, we owned it for 6 years. In that period of ownership, about November 2015, I think, Colony Square came on the market. I lived a block away. I knew it inside out. It was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
didn't at the time have a lot of experience in managing Class A office or clearly developing Class A office.
Yeah.
What I concluded after that experience is it really wasn't as hard as it looked, relative to dealing with the sort of really nitty gritty of retail leasing and retail management and activating public realm. So one of the things we learned at Atlantic Station was that in order for us to right the ship from a global perspective, which started on the street level, with that commercial district, that retail vibrancy, that viability, that those retail sales, the restaurants, the F&B, the energy, was critical to driving the value in all the other uses. And that is currently our investment thesis with Medley, and we'll get there in a minute.
Yeah.
But creating a commercial district that has street level energy, that is attractive to people who visit, who stay in hotels, who work in office buildings, and who live there, is why the mix, that well executed retail dominant mixed use is of such tremendous value.
Yeah. I hear Paulson Row's numbers are incredible.
They came out of the blocks doing $20 million, and Rumi's kills it. Rumi's eclipsed Avalon in the first 6 months.
Wow.
I did when Ali Mascali, who's the principal of Rumi's, wonderful guy, got an amazing life story. He would be a great guy to have on here.
We should. We go there a lot. Our office is right across the street.
Yeah, I'll connect you with him. He's a super good guy.
Hey guys, I just want to take a second and thank today's sponsors. This episode is brought to you by USA Cabling Technologies and Solutions. Alex Morris and his team are just the most incredible partners. They've helped us get our studio going here. Anything that you need for low voltage or audio visual needs in your own build outs or office suites, they are just A+. So if you want to learn more about them, you can go to their website, usacablingtech.com. Again, that's usacablingtech.com. Now back to the show.
But anyway, he was working with my leasing team, and he was kind of giving us the Heisman in Colony Square. And I said, Ali, do me a favor. Meet me in my lobby at the Four Seasons, and we'll go for a walk. So went for a walked down west on 14th Street, down to where Northside was under construction at the time. Whole Foods had just opened. Yeah. All the things that were going on in Midtown. I was the chair of the Midtown Alliance for 10 years, and it just happened to be when Midtown was blowing up. And it just happened to be when we bought it, Colony Square, and redeveloped it. But Ali went for a walk and came around the block, stopped at the corner of 14th and Peachtree. I pointed at that space and said, "That's yours." And he looked at me and said, "Done." Wow. Because he had never really understood that Midtown was meant to be lived as a pedestrian, not as a motorist. And it takes me back to one of the first times. So the Midtown Alliance board and the Midtown Improvement District Board are two separate entities, right? And Kevin Green, who I love forever, is just a phenomenal human being. Yep.
He's coming in March when they have their big park reveal and all
awesome.
That.
He's coming here?
Yeah.
To do a podcast
we're going to talk about it.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Love him.
So I've been begging him. I'm like, can you show me anything about what you're going to do with that, the big hole in the ground? So
he's phenomenal. When he asked me to chair the board, I was like, really? I was just honored. I loved it. I had a great time. Yeah. And Midtown was blowing and going. We had owned Atlantic Station and Colony Square at the same time, so we knew our way around Midtown. But one time, the Midtown Improvement District Board and the Midtown Alliance Board met together, and one of the MID board members, we were having a debate about streetscape and where should we focus our energy and prioritize streetscape projects, because Midtown Alliance is about Midtown Blue, Midtown Green, streetscape activation. Yeah, do an amazing job. And this one board member said, "Well, I think we should prioritize Spring Street because that's how people arrive here, and we want them to be greeted when they arrive here." I'm like, "Dude, we live here. Yeah, we don't need to arrive here.
Why do we care about that?
This street, this Midtown is meant to be experienced on foot." Yeah. And to the extent that the mantra, the mindset, the paradigm of the Atlanta commercial real estate industry has been suburban development, which is all drive to. I mean, Midtown was essentially a bunch of office buildings that people drove in from the suburbs, parked their car, got on the elevator, went upstairs, went back to their car and drove and left. Never set foot on the street. And most of these office building developers would put a little bistro or some little sandwich shop in their office, in their lobby, to serve their
your
tenants.
option.
That's it, right?
Yeah. What's funny is our building at King of Spalding 1180.
Yeah.
We don't have one of those. We have the pour, the little brew thing.
Well, you used to have Highland.
We have Cafe Far under construction right now.
Good,
so something is coming, but for the couple years I've been there, we've had like no options. We actually walk over to Prom Tower for whatever cafe, or obviously Colony Square.
The fact that you're not going to Colony Square.
But Mark, I mean, a lunch there is $25. Sometimes you just need chicken tenders for $10 and go back to work. But it's okay.
So the fact that Midtown grew up to be the Atlanta in a city of 6.5 million people. Now pushing 7 million people. There was no urban experience. There was no streetscape. There was no, in the early days of the Midtown Alliance Board, we coined the phrase the Midtown Mile, and we continued to try and beat the drum about recruiting retailers to Midtown between 14th Street and call it North Avenue.
Yeah.
Very limited success. When we acquired Colony Square, we can go there.
Sure.
When we acquired it, the two office buildings were in, generally reasonably good shape. It was owned by Tishman Speyer. We acquired it from it's interesting when a mixed-use asset is owned by, I'll call it a silo owner. In this case, office. It could be multifamily. It could be hospitality. It could be condo. If the owner-operator does not have retail DNA, the retail will suffer because they don't understand it. It's a nuisance. I mean, some of the stuff you've seen built on Peachtree, I won't name names, but where the developer essentially just activated the public space because Midtown Alliance made them do it. And in fact, I toured a community recently with an apartment developer. He said, we had to create, because it was in the Beltline overlay district, we had to have an active space on the ground level. Didn't even think to lease it for real retail, to create a street level experience that's going to drive the value above.
Right.
I mean, the building, I don't even know the name of the building, but at 14th and Spring that houses Whole Foods in the basement, in the ground level.
Yeah. Because there is a building called 14th and Spring, but I know what you're talking about. This kind of residential building,
Right.
And it's got the art on the side.
Yeah.
Here, I'll drop us in.
There you go. So that building commands some of the highest rents in the market. Why?
Wow.
Because Whole Foods is in the ground level, and there's street level experience. And there you got McRae's across the street, and now you've got the Epicurean. So Midtown is finally, look at that. That is an urban streetscape, right? That didn't exist 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So when we were, when I first moved to Midtown during the GFC, we were essentially trying to put together an investment group to go around and buy all these foreclosed sites in Midtown. Never happened. Kicking myself to this day that we didn't make it happen because it could have been a huge bell ringer.
Yeah.
But, we were in this land speculation business. We're developers. We build, and that's what we do. So, but anyway, back to Colony Square. The opportunity to have 11 acres, have what was a mall at the time, which was in extremely rough shape.
Yeah, I don't think I ever went to it before it was what it is today.
So the buildings, that building right there is new.
Yep.
And the building on the corner is new. That's the Jones Day building.
Correct, yeah.
And when we were conceiving what was going to happen here, we had two concepts. Our equity was Texas Teachers in a separate account with Lionstone Investment Group. And we went, I'll never forget, we went to Houston to meet with Lionstone Investment Committee, and we had two plans. One we called Lipstick on a Pig, and one we called The Big Idea. We built The Big Idea.
Cool.
And but for the nuclear winter in capital markets that occurred 22 through 24,
Yeah.
still kind of hanging on.
Yeah.
We would have exited Colony Square. I'm still in it. It's just a great asset that continues this season.
Wow.
But
Yeah, PCCP,
PCCP
acquired
all of a component of Lionstone's assets.
Got
so
it.
when Lionstone was acquired by Columbia Threadneedle, I hope I get this right.
Yeah.
They operated as an asset as a subsidiary,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually Columbia decided to exit the U.S. Real estate investment market, flipped all their advisory business to others.
Got it.
So some of those Lionstone investments were in funds,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them were in separate accounts. Colony Square was a separate account with kind of a sidecar with another investor, but the idea that we would literally blow up, not explosion, but break,
Yeah.
demolish
Yeah.
the ground level mall on top of an active parking deck under
Yeah.
2 office towers, 2 condo towers, and a hotel. John Kelly, who runs my development team, is just had an amazing execution on this thing.
Wow.
I mean, surgical precision.
And you have residents in these condos there
Exactly.
too. That
I remember. Do you remember the old? We used to call it the Houlihan's building. It's now gone. We demolished it.
Sure.
But it's where Jones Day is now.
Yeah.
On the second floor of that building, we had a residents meeting with the condo owners, and it was like torches and pitchforks. I mean, these people
Sure.
were out for my head.
Yeah.
Because they thought I was going to diminish their home values, and I said, "I'll buy your unit." Now, it was.
Yeah.
Half kidding.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
should have. I mean,
Right.
another opportunity to squandered. But
Yeah.
again, we focus on what we focus on.
That's right. Yeah.
So anyway, those units today and some of those units
Sure.
are the 12th floor units.
Oh, yeah.
In the south building.
Some of them have like these whole
The
rooftop
phenomenal
terraces. Yeah.
They are.
That's so rare.
And they are literally works of art.
Wow.
I won't name the names of the residents, but there are a number of folks there on that top floor that have spectacular units
Yeah.
that are now even more valuable because of what they can experience on the street.
Right.
When we say
Yeah.
when you step outside your front door, where are you?
Hmm.
Right. So whether it's suburban office or even urban office, multifamily residential, hotel, any of the silos of commercial, absent industrial. My belief is going forward, and we've already seen this pan out. As an example, we just signed an expansion of a tenant that we're 7 months away from delivering for an office tenant at Medley.
Is
So
BAI?
Boehringer Ingelheim.
Yeah.
Right.
Shout out Cushman. I think that was
exactly. That's right.
That was our
Yeah,
tenant
yeah.
rep team.
Well,
yeah.
in fact, we just we're now expanding it. So
That's right.
we just got the term
So is that
sheet.
the rest of the building?
No,
Okay.
it's half of the second floor. They had the third and fourth floor. It's half
Okay.
of the second floor.
Good.
So they will lease 75% of our office
Mm.
in a project that is a year away from grand opening.
Yeah.
Is 7 months away from them opening. And why? Because that tenant, we had this experience with 2 other office tenants, and all 3 of them corporate HQs for large multinational companies. One a trucking company, one an agricultural equipment company, and BI, a pharmaceutical company. BI is the largest private pharmaceutical manufacturer in the world. Their animal health division happened to be officed in
It was like up in Duluth and Satellite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In Satellite,
Yeah.
which is an
Well,
abyss.
it's up there, yeah.
You don't. Well, forget how far it is.
Yeah.
It's just there's no there.
No, from the satellite, it's a mile of parking lots in every direction from that.
Exactly right. And that's listen, that was the product that
Yeah.
we built. I mean, Cousins built around North Point when we were doing this stuff around North Point Mall. They built all this suburban office park that was the product. Right, we called it a fried egg. So you got the building in the middle and the yolk,
Yeah.
and then you got a sea of
Yeah.
parking around it.
Yeah, with 5 to 1,000 ratio or something crazy.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So if you step outside your front door and you're in a sea of parking, you lose. So the idea that whether it's an urban or suburban setting, an office tenant, an apartment resident, a hotel guest wants activity at the street level. That's That's how when any of us go to any city anywhere, right? We don't pick a hotel based. We may start with picking our hotel based on the brand if we have an affinity with Bonvoy or somebody, but eventually we're going to look at that neighborhood and say, where can I walk? Where can I walk to a park? Can I walk to a restaurant? Can I walk to a bar? Can I walk to a theater? Can I walk, or transit or some other thing because you're in the city? I live at Avalon, have for now 5-ish years.
Yeah.
And
I hear you go weeks on end without driving a car.
That's exactly right. I was just about to tell you. My wife said to me the other day, "You're going to drive your car this week?" I said, "No." Now, driving down here today, it was an adventure.
Yeah.
The good news is I was on a phone call the entire time.
Yeah, goes quick.
Exactly. But the fact is, there are weeks and weeks at a time. I've gone weeks at a time without driving a car. Wow. Because my barber, my doctor, my dentist, my grocery store, my office, my gym, 10 or 12 of my favorite restaurants, they're all there. And when we decide what we're going to do at the end of the day, I'll be sit at my desk or somewhere. I often work outdoors on the plaza on the boulevard because we've got all these different sort of. So I'll tell my assistant if she needs me to sign something, I'm in my roomie's office, or I'm in my office
cool.
in the living room, or my Ron's place office. So she knows where to find me. And at the end of the day, I'll call my wife on the way home and say, "What do you want me to pick up on the way home?" So literally, I walk into Whole Foods, see what looks good, throw it on the grill, and never leave there. I mean, that lifestyle can be experienced, and will be, and is being experienced every day now. I mean, there's a home at Avalon that we've coveted for a while. It just got out of range. I mean, we thought it was going to go for 4 something. It went for 6 something.
Whoa!
It will be the highest. It hadn't closed yet. It's under contract. It will be the highest sale of any single-family residence in Alpharetta, maybe in North Fulton. Now, there are probably some really big mansions in, I'll call it ex-urban Milton.
Yes.
That are big numbers with acreage.
Yeah.
But this is a 4,600 square foot home on a 6,000 square foot lot.
What does that do for your square footage number? Is that a couple thousand a foot?
Yeah.
That's
it's
insane.
Yeah, exactly. It's $1,500 a square foot.
Wow.
And we were proud when we first came out at Avalon at $450 a square foot, which at the time
was
eclipsed any community anywhere in Metro Atlanta. And it's all because, and I'm trying not to come off as boastful, because this is I didn't live there for the first 5 years. I lived in Midtown, and I lived in Midtown for the same reason: energy, the exchange of human energy, and that is. The diversity of experience, the activity and the energy is what drives. And especially at my stage in life, I said, I raised my girls in a cul-de-sac in East Cobb, just like everybody else. And I said to my wife one day, if we stay here, I'm going to rot on this couch. We grew up, we went to Rutgers, we grew up, we spent a lot of time in New York City. And we used to walk around and point at the big high-rise buildings and say, wouldn't it be great to live in that rooftop terrace overlooking Central Park? And what we were seeking was that urban experience that we had in Midtown, that we have we now have at Avalon, and it's actually more convenient and more. There are more amenities at Avalon than there are in Midtown.
Yeah. I got to ask. So you're at Four Seasons.
Yeah.
I've known that there's the penthouse unit owned by, is it the Cabbage Patch Kids guy?
Yes.
Did y'all get to know them?
No.
I'm so curious.
I'd never met them.
Yeah.
It was one of those buildings where we knew a few of our neighbors, but it wasn't and because most of the people in that building, it's purely about lock and leave. And for us, it was the same way. We have other residences, and we're like, we want something. And same thing at Avalon. I mean, we literally, there's no, cleaning gutters and maintenance and pools and yard and leaves.
Rubbing elbows to say hey or whatever. But
exactly.
So our office is almost like eye level with that penthouse. And I mean, it's such a unique piece of real estate in the city that, so I just was curious.
When you talk about Midtown and street level activation, 1180 is my poster child for how not to do it. No offense to the guys who did it.
Let her rip, man. I agree with you. It's a little sanitized.
It's a monument to the architect and the developer. I won't name them. Everybody knows who it is. But, that mausoleum that is your lobby,
Yeah.
it's an affront to the street. Because when you walk by on the street level, there's no opportunity to have any kind of exchange of energy, any kind of visual interest, any kind of activity. No, I mean, when they did the brew pub, what's it called? Pour.
Yes.
Before that, it was I forget what it was. But anyway, great.
They're not welcome.
Yeah, exactly.
that's probably between us, but no, it's
No, I mean, there's just
nobody goes there. It's not. It's a weird spot. Like,
but it has phenomenal potential.
It does.
Then where what was the breakfast place? Highland
Bakery was
Highland
there.
Bakery.
Yeah,
they were great.
Yeah.
And the fact that the building didn't embrace Highland Bakery and let them and the other tenant populate their lobby with seating. It's a no-brainer, right? Now, what that does is you have to police it, you have to clean it, you have to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
When we bought Colony Square, it was a bunker, and because it was built to hide, essentially to insulate itself.
It was the Portman thing. Put walls up, and we want you in here in our little ecosystem, and
it was a mall.
Yeah.
And it turned its back on the street because of what Midtown was at the time. If you think about Midtown in the 70s. There was a guy named Colonel Mock, I forgot his name, Wayne Mock. He was the Midtown Alliance, the head of the Midtown Blue when I first served on the board.
Okay.
He was an APD officer, was a sheriff in Forsyth County. He was a cop, and a really, really good guy. And when we bought Atlantic Station, he did a great job of helping us sort of deal with what we called knucklehead behavior. Not my phrase, by the way. I borrowed that from Keith Parker, the first CEO of MARTA, named Keith Parker.
Yeah.
Keith Parker, who coined that phrase relative to MARTA. And he coined the phrase, and you still see it on the MARTA buses, ride with respect. We coined the phrase, I claim it was prior to his, expect respect. And the idea that you could come to Atlantic Station and act up was just not acceptable. So Wayne Mock did a great job of helping me. I work with a guy named Rob Cordero, who's still a dear friend, who's my security guy. And we used a iron fist and a velvet glove approach to public safety. So we had X number of public safety officers. They all carried a code of conduct and a dress code. Said if you're not acting in accordance with this code of conduct or this dress code, you're out of here. If you don't leave, you're going to jail. And Wayne did a great job of helping me do that. What he said was, he walked when he was a cop in the 70s in Midtown. He felt he had just come back from Vietnam, and he felt safer in Vietnam than he did in Ansley Park.
Wow.
I mean, that's what Midtown was at that time. So that's why Colony Square was built like it is.
Yeah.
Our notion was to open it up and make it more porous and invite the community in. Now, what comes with that, kind of like the office built the lobby at 1180, what comes with that is you got to deal with people. Right, and people act up, and they leave trash around, and they're just and they're not going to treat it like their grandmother's living room. So to this day, Atlantic Station, Colony Square, Avalon, any of these, Medley will be this way as well. Any of these communities what's critical is that we maintain a level of an experience that's comfortable, relaxed. And makes people feel comfortable.
Yeah, and they want to come back. And
that's exactly right.
Yeah, wow.
So I don't know what started me on all that.
No, that's really important. I know that's been a really big topic for we're here in downtown. We've got more development happening here in a dense area than probably anywhere else in town. You got Centennial Yards with their entertainment district that's supposed to be hopefully delivering right before World Cup, which is exciting. But it's to you have a lot of options. If you're up in East Cobb and you're trying to figure out, do I go to Avalon? Do I go to downtown? Do I go where there's a lot of competition now. Maybe it was, way back when in the 70s, it was like downtown Atlanta was the spot. We'll drive for miles and hours to get there because it's cool. But there's so many cool little nodes you can go spend your Friday night at. So it's more
importantly, you could live there.
you can't.
I mean, some of the things, what's kind of, I told this story yesterday, actually. When we bought Atlantic Station, what came with it was two things that were really kind of fun. One was Cirque du Soleil, which is there right now,
Right.
at Atlantic Station.
Yeah.
And the other was the High Museum Wine Auction, among other things, that was housed on the what we call the Pinnacle site on the north side. And one of the things that came with the wine auction sponsorship was admission to all these events and everything. So my wife and I, it was a fun time, and we went to this wine dinner at someone's home in Ansley Park, and there was a couple sitting across from us, and we were talking about Atlantic Station and the wine auction there and so forth. And she said, "Well, we just don't come down there much." And I said, "Honey, we don't need you to come down here. We're here. There are plenty of us who live here." And the fact that there are those of us, and me included, right?
Yeah.
I have been. When we met outside to look at what's happening here at Centennial Yards and the center, I haven't been down here in 6 or 8 months. Right, so everybody lives in their own bubble, but to discount somebody else's bubble, is so the idea.
That's Camp Creek all over again.
That's exactly right,
Yeah.
and it's human nature, and it's not in that case. It's not necessarily racism. It may be, elitism or whatever you want to call it. But whether you're a resident of Avondale or Buckhead or Norcross or Alpharetta or Clayton County. You got your own thing. You've got your own community, and that, I think, what we've found in hindsight. We first incubated all these concepts at Atlantic Station. We had no idea that when we developed Avalon and then redeveloped Colony Square and now at Medley, that what we were going to come away with is a community. It's not a bunch of buildings. Yes, we build apartments. If you look at our NOI, there's a component of it that's multifamily. There's a component that's retail. There's a component that's single family. There's a component that's hotel, and that's what it looks like on a spreadsheet. What it looks like in real life is real people living their lives together. We call it the third place. That, and I didn't coin that phrase. It's a Ray Oldenburg phrase. The third place is that place beyond work and home where you go to do life together. And what we find is, and we found this at Avalon on an Easter Sunday early in the game. Matt Simon was my general manager, and he lived above J. Crew. And he took a picture of the plaza on Easter Sunday, and there was people everywhere. And I thought, that's cool. And he said, "We're closed. It's a shopping center."
Interesting.
And people came here because this is their place.
Wow.
And it's that place where people, if you live there, obviously it's your first. I live and work there, so it's my first, second, and third place. But for a lot of people who come there to visit, it's just a place to go to have. The thing that attracts people is people.
Activity
and that's why we're so focused. One of the major changes that we made from the Avalon design to the Medley design is to assure that patio seating, F&B, restaurants, bars, and so forth, and patio seating ring the plaza. So the public space that we will activate with events and all those kinds of things, and yoga and concerts and all that, is ringed with now, because at Avalon we did a bunch of soft goods retailers that don't bring any energy whatsoever, and a theater, which doesn't bring any energy. You go to the theater, you sit there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So now we've got a hotel at one end with F&B on the street level, and 6 restaurants and a bar that frame it. So that that in hindsight, again, we've created community. Now the question is, how do we do it again? And why do we do it again? The why is really simple, because it adds value.
Yes.
It-
Johns Creek's an incredible area, but it doesn't have.
There's no there.
Kind of town square. It's not. Yeah, it's like that kind of area that's in between.
You've seen it in Woodstock. You've seen it in Sandy Springs. You've seen it in Doraville. You've seen it in all these little communities are sort of working a little jewel box. I heard it phrased this morning in the conversation. It's like a Fabergé egg. I mean, every piece of this little microcosm, this ecosystem, is finely crafted and finely curated. And that's the challenge that we had in Midtown was that we couldn't curate the retail because it was disparate ownership up and down Peachtree, and you had it was kind of like a gap tooth. It was like a jack-o'-lantern. You know, they had a big gap in the tooth here with the Federal Reserve and the vacant land at 10th and Peachtree, and eventually it all happened. Yeah, but unfortunately, some of the street level experiences or the die has been cast, and would be a pretty significant lift to change it.
Right. So and controlling. I mean, it's for Colony Square. You had full control, and you could, with what you're talking about with security, with the concierge, with everything, you could be, fully controlling the ecosystem. So
that's exactly right.
Yeah, I've got probably 10 questions from all the things you've been saying. I'm curious about the Pinnacle site. You owned Atlantic Station. That's a part of the ownership of, like, when you own Atlantic Station, that's land that you'll own. You just lease it out to Cirque du Soleil.
We North American, in a partnership with CBRE Global Investors, owned the retail.
Okay.
We did not own the land, which is a lesson learned.
Yeah.
If we're going to create the lift for the land and the office buildings, own the land and the office buildings. Mm-hmm. So, the halo effect of creating this commercial district and this vibrant experience in this place where people want to go, that third place, is significant. I mean, at Avalon, you if you look within a mile, every piece of land has been developed on. Between the West Side Parkway intersection with Old Milton and downtown Alpharetta, solid townhomes. I mean, probably I have no idea, hundreds. On Thompson Street, and that's essentially taking the city center energy, connecting it with the Avalon energy, and giving these people an opportunity to walk.
Mm-hmm. Got it. What was the other question I had? You talked about, you've kind of hit on this a couple of times. So Atlantic Station, that was really kind of where you started testing all these ideas and not even laying a single brick. Like, I mean, was that your thesis going into buying it, of like, this has all the bones, it just doesn't have the energy? Or was it something y'all kind of discovered along the way, and it was just, you saw it was just good real estate to get a hold of?
Yeah, I mean, we had a phenomenal basis. Yeah, I mean, we bought it for 20 cents on the dollar. It was in Midtown. It was at 17th and the Connector. I was troubled about, as a Midtown resident, why did this not work? And when we started taking the nuts off the bolts, we recognized that a lot of it was the lack of, I used to say that all Atlantic Station needs is somebody with $100 million who gives a shit. And that's what we were. And we literally moved our offices there. Our offices were in Roswell. We moved our offices there. My office was in the corner looking over Valet. When we talk about diversity in Atlanta, it's usually black and white. When you talk about the mayor of Johns Creek, John Bradbury, who, by the way, was just recently resoundingly reelected. Congrats, John.
Congrats.
Shout out. Yeah. Great guy. He, when in Johns Creek had never approved multifamily residential in the history of the city. And he had the courage to go out there and approve 750 apartments in order to get the energy to build Medley. So John Bradbury describes diversity in Johns Creek. He said, our diversity is diverse. We have 29 nationalities that are residents in Johns Creek. Many of them, a fairly large proportion, they're something like 30% of the community is Asian and South Asian. So when we think about diversity, how do we serve that community, right? Well, and how did we serve the Atlantic Station community? Well, one of the first things we did was make it safe, or make it the appearance of it. And Atlantic Station wasn't necessarily unsafe. I mean, there were incidents that happened, and it's a city. Things happen, right? People get shot, cars get stolen. It happens, right? But the perception that Atlantic Station was unsafe because no one was policing behavior and culture, that was the biggest issue. So we, between Wayne Mock and Rob Cordero, really clamped down on behavior. And I would sit at my office and look out at valet and someone get out of their car and smoking a cigarette or whatever they were doing that was against the rules, I would call Rob. I'm a speed dial. I said, Rob, NPI valet. And in about 3 minutes, he would be there addressing this individual, suggesting to them that they amend their behavior, and that we've got a code of conduct and a dress code.
Wow.
That turned the ship.
Yeah.
And that, along with activating the space, we recruited the tennis tournament there, which was there until just very recently.
Right, and that I hear those tournaments have kind of a life cycle. Like if they don't really pick up and they have like a 10-year kind of cycle to them.
Yeah, they're like a point system, 100 points, whatever.
You're
whatever.
Right.
But it was a great little run, and it was vacant land that is now Amley has built on.
Yes.
But activating the space, doing events, creating energy, positive energy on that property that had, for the most part, had negative energy, was what turned that ship.
Yeah. I was with a state representative last night, Chuck. I'm trying to remember his last name. Chuck Martin.
Yeah.
Who was mayor at like 32 of Alpharetta.
That's right.
That was years ago.
I was working in Alpharetta when he was mayor.
Yeah. So he, I saw he had some state championship or national championship Georgia ring. I guess he played, or was he?
Oh, I don't know.
I didn't get the whole story. He had this big gold ring. We need to get lunch and get the whole story. But
he's a good guy.
He told me there was a brief conversation of heavy rail near Avalon. Is that what was going on there? I hadn't heard that before.
So at about the time that we hadn't quite finished Avalon. We were working on the second phase rezoning and so forth. And I was another state senator, Brandon Beach, who's now the treasurer of the United States, invited me to serve on a board called the ATL, which was intended to knit together all the transit systems.
Right. They did
Metro
that big rebrand. And
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So you see it on MARTA trains and MARTA buses. You see all of the ATL. So I was on the inaugural board of that. And at the time, living in Midtown, banging the drum on MARTA, if you tool around on YouTube, you'll see a video that I did for MARTA about I had a meeting in downtown, and then I had another meeting at Avalon when it was under construction, and it sort of followed me on my trail, not driving a car.
Wow.
Should
we
done.
Pull it up?
No. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
So I really became an advocate, banging the drum, really pushing hard for MARTA in North Fulton. The city council at the time, and it sort of colored our relationship between me and the city council, me personally, and some of the city councilmen personally, about pushing MARTA in North Fulton. Now, BRT is likely the solution. Heavy rail was not viable from a cost perspective. COVID just tanked ridership in Metro Atlanta. It's really a very, very heavy lift today.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was persona non grata in Alpharetta for pushing MARTA in North Fulton because it's sort of like why people didn't want apartments in Johns Creek.
Yeah.
We don't want those people in our
thing.
community. Yeah. The reason that people don't want MARTA is because the train runs both ways, and we don't want those people out here.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a well-known fact. It was just chronicled in the AJC recently about the blatant racism that limited expansion of transit in Metro Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's not likely to change. The view may change of the view. We were when I was working in Gwinnett County for a while. The Charlotte Nash, who was the chairman of the Gwinnett County Commission, asked me to join an effort to drive a referendum in Gwinnett County to extend MARTA from Doraville. Failed miserably. There was an effort in 2012 maybe called Untie Atlanta. Larry Gellerstadt actually ran it or drove part of and the Cousins team.
Yeah.
And failed miserably. I mean that is not likely to change in this city.
Yeah.
Is transit.
It's tough.
Yeah,
People
it's a cultural thing.
They like their cars too, and
exactly.
I don't know the traffic thing. I live. I won't tell the address, but I'm within maybe 7 minutes of our office, and I have a scooter now. I bought a little
nice.
electric scooter.
Awesome.
So what happened to me, I got caught in traffic. I was trying to get home. I told you we have a 10-month-old.
Yeah.
So like bath time's really important for us.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like try to be home at, 5:30. We do dinner and then that. So I don't know what was going on. The roads were just shut. I'm 2 miles away, and I could have walked quicker than driving.
Yeah.
And like while I'm sitting there at a red light, I bought a little scooter. I keep it in my
that's
car now.
fantastic.
So yeah, I just like, I don't know, being around the car thing, how we're just so reliant on it. I've never been like the big urbanist, but that for me, I was like, this is dumb. I'm 2 miles away and it takes me 30 minutes to get home.
Yeah, once you've lived the experience of shedding your car, I mean,
Yeah.
we also say, we got a lot of these things. One is when you step outside your front door, and there, between you and the rest of your life is your car.
Mm.
How do you live your life that way? Now, much of America lives that way. I just came back from 2 weeks in Spain, and they don't live that way.
No,
right?
no, very
Many
different.
of them do not own a car.
Yeah.
And you have real cities in the U.S., New York and Boston, Chicago, and I was going to say L.A., but not L.A.
Yeah.
That people live that lifestyle, and it's so freeing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a different experience to not have to be tethered to your car all the time.
No. So tell me about Medley and I guess you mentioned some of the timing and I guess is there anything else we should know about the project? I'm really excited about it. I think it's the next big thing in the suburbs. So
Yeah, well, it's not only, again, forgive me for appearing boastful, this is
Yeah.
not only the big thing in the suburbs of Atlanta. It's one of the biggest, most complex projects in the U.S. For the most part, because we've been so capital constrained. I mean, not because we did anything, any wizardry.
Yeah.
It's because the capital markets were shut down for about a 3-year period. And
Yeah.
now you're going to see a pretty big burst in development, and mixed use obviously is the belle of the ball currently. How to execute it at the way we execute it, the way others. I mean, there are a handful of guys in the U.S. 6'10", who are doing it at that level where you're truly creating a community where there's adequate residential density. There's an office component that is going to be highly sought after. There's a hotel component. There's single family, and there's retail and F&B. So Medley came to us. The landowner was a fund out of New York called U.S. Realty Advisors that owned the State Farm campus in Johns Creek. It had been vacant for almost 6 years. By the time we
derelict,
closed.
sad, it's horrible.
It was-
I have a client right across the street, and I left his office building, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was just so sad. It was like, yeah,
awful.
Yeah.
And it was a cold call. He called me one day and said, "Hey,
Wow.
you did Avalon." I said, "Yeah." Who is this? And David Grazioli, U.S. Realty Advisors. We own the State Farm campus in Johns Creek. I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah,
And what
What's
I
up?
exactly how you
Yeah.
doing? We literally, I had no clue of the strength of the demographic in Johns Creek. We had,
Yeah.
I had never seen now Alpine, New Jersey, and Bay Area, and whatever super high end Tony communities, really high income. But incomes north of $200,000 are really, really difficult to find in a radius, right? Usually, even Buckhead, right?
Yeah.
High incomes,
Yeah.
but there are quadrants of that radius that are not great. Northeast, southeast. So the in 5 miles, 200,000 people, $200,000 average household income. Like I am in. So we start with a plan. Go down the road, go to the city of Johns Creek. Mayor Bradbury expressed some, indicated the courage necessary in order to get it voted for. His city council approved it. So we got 750 units of multifamily. Our equities lined up. I won't name them, but they pulled the plug on September 22nd, 2023. Very
Whoa.
tough day. We were scheduled to close on September 29th.
Wow.
Restacked the capital. Lenders stuck with us. Banco Inbursa from Mexico City. Restacked the equity. Closed on the land in March, all cash, and then closed on the construction loan October 31st. We open October 29th of next year. So we're 70% leased in the retail, 75% leased. Thank you, Cushman.
Yeah.
For in the office. Multifamily and everything's well ahead of schedule. Second phase starts in February.
Very cool. Can you share any of the rates that y'all are getting, or is that all?
No.
Okay, got it. I've heard they're strong. They're pretty.
So
they're pretty strong rates.
retail rents are between $50 and $65 a foot, triple
Wow.
net. Now there are a lot of hefty TIs
Sure.
in there. I've got a couple of F&B operators who I really, really believe in. You know, that's one of the key factors in this community building, is that a major part of creating that community are the proprietors of those restaurants and coffee shops and boutiques that are not big national players. Now, we've got a number of national players at Medley, F&B operators and others, but soft goods operators and others, but and service and so forth. But all the F&B operators are what I would call organic. So Fido is a good example.
Yeah.
Local guy, 5 or 6 units, great operator. Kieran is a stud when it comes to doing what he does. He understands it inside out.
Yeah.
Julio Delgado, who's Fogon and Lyons and Mini Olivia and Alpharetta. Great story, great. And this guy, you know, relatively thinly capitalized, but he will not fail. Darren Henderson, who's Rena's ex-military. He was in the culinary, side of the armed forces in the Army. Great operator, will not fail. These guys, but we're betting the farm on some of them. I mean, one the biggest TI that we've checked that we've written so far is a group out of Chattanooga called Square One Hospitality, and this concept called Stir. They've got 6 or 7 of them. They're in Greenville, they're in Knoxville, they're in Charlotte, they're in Chattanooga, obviously. Great operator, but we're betting the farm on him, and he better kick ass.
Yeah.
Because he's teed up to do it. High income community, high density. They're there. We're going to activate the public realm. Lots of events, hotel. It's going to be great.
Wow. Well, I'm really excited, Mark. I feel like we could go on for another
we
hour.
could. We got to.
Yeah.
I got all day.
Yeah. One day we'll have to really peel back the onion on just Midtown's evolution and how it came about. I feel like you had a front row seat to how that
It was fun to
just
watch.
came along, and now the success of what it is.
We got to play in it with Atlantic Station and Colony Square,
Yeah.
but there were so many others who contributed to that effort. It was really, really spectacular. And Kevin Green still to this day at the helm of the Midtown Alliance. He's a star.
Really excited to have him on there too. But Mark, this has been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate your time.
Sure enough.
And appreciate what you're doing. We'll have to come out. We just did this whole thing on South Downtown where we walked around with their project managers. It was kind of like a behind the brick sort of thing. But maybe as y'all are getting closer on Medley, we can come out and do some drone footage and show kind of everything. But
yesterday we spent a couple hours on the design of a component we called Tree Bar. There's a large, mature willow oak in the middle of the boulevard that's just massive, and it's got this imposing presence.
Did y'all import that, or like
no,
it was there? It was there. Wow,
it was there. This thing was built in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it's still there, and we're building a bar around this tree, and we're literally
cool.
the fun of the intricacies of where do you put the booze and where do you put the kegs, and designing a bar.
Yeah, that sounds special. Well, good, man. Well, thanks so much for your time.
Sure enough. Thank you.